Hello everyone. Today I'm going to teach you how to do the basic stitches so that you will know how to read a pattern. And also, doing this sample in rows, I show you how we can keep nice straight sides and not lose any stitches as we're going either. Even if you know the chain, the single crochet, the half double crochet and the double crochet oh so well, and you don't feel like you need to watch this video, can I advise you just to skip through to the treble section, because the trebles can cause a little issue every so often, especially with how many stitches we do in our turning stitch and the way we need to try and work the treble stitch to keep it firm so you don't get these just here, these little loose looking sections. Okay, the treble stitch actually needs quite a lot of practice to get it just right. It's the trickiest one of them all. So just do yourselves a favor and pop to the treble section and see if there's anything there that helps you to create your trebles in an even better manner than you do currently. For today's tutorial, I'm using Stylecraft Special DK, which is an 8-ply yarn, in the colours of tomato, copper, walnut, meadow and camel. Of course, you'll need your corresponding hook, which is normally a 4mm or 4.5 for a double knit weight yarn. But today I'm using a 5mm, so my stitches will be that little bit bigger so that you can see them well. You'll also need scissors and darning needle if you're going to use this as practice pieces for yourself. Before you can start reading a pattern, you really need to know a certain amount of stitches to get you underway, and that being the chain and or the magic ring, a slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet and treble crochet. Once you know those, you will then be able to manage these other stitches that are just a little more complicated. The way that you can ensure that you don't lose or gain stitches when working in rows is to just remember what you're doing with your very first stitch. All right, you need to know and remember if you're using chain 3 as a turning chain. If so, that stitch doesn't get counted. All right, if you're using chains to turn your work, the chain isn't counted as a stitch. So you always start right below the chain with another stitch. Now you need to remember that when it comes time to placing the next stitch in on top. But to alleviate all those issues, I use the stacked single crochet. That way it looks good, it looks right, it looks very similar, but also it is counted as a stitch. Therefore, there's no muddling up and trying to remember or accidentally forgetting and adding the turning chain into your stitch count. So using the stacked single crochets eliminates all those problems. Then you just count all your stitches as you would normally. And it turns out nice and straight too. I feel like if I blocked that, it would be even better still. You can either take a screenshot of this or go and search for a crochet symbols chart. Either save it to your photos or print it off, which would be even better still. Then there's the abbreviations. I work in US terminology. I just find that it makes a lot more sense to me. But if pushed, I could do the UK terminology, but I would have to think about that a little bit harder. So this is another chart that would be very handy for you to have saved or printed off. I'd print all these off and laminate them and have them right beside you when you're doing your work. And this little cheat sheet I think is super handy. It helps when you're working in rows and you need to know how many chains to do at the end of your row to be able to then turn on to the next. So say you're doing your double crochets, here it is, come up here and it tells you to do a chain 3. Now I'm going to show you throughout this how to turn with chains, but also how to turn with stacked single crochets. And you can make your bind up whatever you use, especially if you're just learning. You might like to stick to the turning chains because it's just a nice easy one to learn and remember. Let's just see how you go. So let's get into it. I teach you how to do the chain, the single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet and treble stitch. We need to start our work with a slip knot. So holding your yarn end in your right hand, wrap your yarn around 2 fingers and pull up that loop in the centre. And there you have a movable slip knot. The way you hold the yarn end matters because we can then cinch this in so you don't have an unsightly little stitch hanging out. Whereas when you start your slip knot with your yarn end in your left hand, you actually can't move the knot. So we're just going to do 20 chains. So yarning over, pulling that loop through the loop that's on your hook. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. The trick about the chain is trying to keep the stitch sizes relatively similar. So just go slow and steady. I find when you do it fast, the stitches become smaller and tighter. I've done 25. That's a-okay. Our first row is going to be single crochets. Now to start that row, we begin our single crochet into the second stitch from the hook. Okay, you've got 1 there and there's your second. The reason we do that is because this one here gives the stitch some elevation. So you'll find when we use the longer stitches, we start further back into the stitch below, okay? So we're doing single crochet, skipping 1 stitch, popping your hook into the next, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both those stitches that are on the hook. And that is your single crochet. Hook in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 stitches. Hook in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both stitches. Hook in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both stitches. Okay, so that is our littlest stitch other than the slip stitch, called the single crochet. You will often see that written as an abbreviation, just an S and a C for single crochet. Or it can be written as a cross or a plus sign if you're using diagrams. All right, so hook in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. I'm near to the end. I've got 1 stitch left, popping my hook in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both stitches. That's our first row of single crochet. Now to do a turning chain and start row number 2. All we need to do is make 1 chain. So yarn over, pull through that stitch. Turn your work. Now we're not going to count a turning chain as a stitch. It's an extra. We're going to work directly into this stitch below. You'll see a little opening there. Pop your hook in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Hook in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we're going to make a row of single crochets into the top of the single crochets below. Okay, you do see a really nice obvious opening when doing the single crochet stitch. It makes it nice and easy. on all the stitches you'll see that the top of them looks like it's got a little V. Okay, it's a little loop that loops under the next stitch with a pointy end on the left and a rounded end on the right. So when we talk about working under the little V, that's what we mean. I'm up to my last little stitch, pop my hook in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I'm going to snip my work off and darn my yarn end in because I'm going to change colour. So I'll show you how to do a standing half double crochet to begin your work. Snipping off there, pull that through, pop your yarn end onto a needle. Now we need to work down and through, in and around stitches. So number 1, we can hide the yarn end as well as hiding it securely so it won't come undone. Go in and out a few stitches, then reverse back on itself so it won't come undone. If you ever wonder if your yarn darning is good enough, try to undo some of your work. And if you find it difficult, you know you've done a really good job. All right, I'm just going to go one more time along the bottom here this time. If you can break through some fibres at the same time, that also helps. It's a lot to ask, isn't it, without making a mess? Okay, there we go. Snip that one off. Now we're going to start a new row and use the half double crochet. So we've just used this one, the single crochet. Now we're using the half double crochet. It's the T with no little strike on the leg. Grab your new colour, yarn end in your right hand. Wrap it around 2 fingers on the left hand. Pull that loop through the centre. Now to do a standing half double crochet, we hold your work, figure out where you're going to put it so you'll see that little opening there. We're going to yarn over on our hook, pop your hook in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 stitches. Now because we have a movable slip knot, here it comes into play. We can firm that up and you wouldn't know it's even there. So yarn over, hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 stitches. Yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 stitches. Yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 stitches. So that's your half double crochet in US terminology. Yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 stitches. Make your way across your little sample and I'll meet you towards the end. All right, I'm up to my last stitch. I'm yarning over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 stitches. Now we're going to turn our work. Here we can utilise this little cheat sheet. So if we're going to do a chain, a turning chain, here's our half double crochet. It tells us we need to do 2 turning chains. So all you need to do is chain 1 and chain 2. Now we're not using this turning chain as a stitch, whereas when I do the stacked single crochets, I do use that as a stitch because the turning chain is thin. So when you add another stitch to it directly below, it doesn't look out of place. But if you use it as a stitch and you skip that stitch below and work into the next one, you'll see that the turning chain is too thin. It just doesn't look nice. Okay, so I'll show you what it looks like when it's not counted as a stitch. There we go. Looks fantastic. So there is that option if you're doing half double crochets. Now I'm going to turn my work and show you how I do stacked single crochets. All you do is remember that you need 2 chains. So we're going to do 1.5 stacked single crochets or 2 of them. It's completely up to you. I'll show you both. We just pop our hook in the stitch below, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through 2 stitches, and that's 1 single crochet. Now I go down through the center of that single crochet, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. And that's a stitch that counts as my half double crochet. You can also just
wrap
do
your yarn around
your single
2
crochet
fingers once
and 1 chain. That feels better to me as a stitch that counts as a half double crochet. Now, there's even more, would you believe? Some people, when they do their stacked single crochets, don't go through the middle of the single crochet below. They go through that little stitch that's on the left-hand side. Yarn over, pull up, yarn over, pull through 2. They really are much of a muchness, so I might just stick with what I always do. So for the half double crochet, I'm going to do a single crochet and a chain 1. That counts as a stitch, because if we popped another stitch in there, it would be way too thick. All right, so now we're going to head off and do our row of half double crochets. Hook in, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, pull through all 3 stitches. I'm near to the end. I've got 1 stitch to go. Popping my hook in, pulling through all 3 loops. So there's 2 rows of your half double crochet. Now I'm going to snip that off and darn all my yarn ends in. And we're going to start the next row with a standing double crochet. Yarn end in your right hand, pulling up a loop through the center. Yarning over the hook, finding the stitch that you're going to go into. Now, if you've done a stacked single crochet and a chain, you need to pop your hook underneath that chain. All right, now yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and you can tighten that slip knot. Yarning over into the top of the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that is your double crochet. Now, with 1 more stitch to go to finish off that row. All right, turning your work. You can either do chain 3 to begin your next row and not count that as a stitch, and do a double crochet into that first stitch below. All right, or you can do the stacked single crochets. Now I don't do 3 stacked single crochets, I stick with the 2. I pop my hook into that little space below, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I pop my hook down the center of that single crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. To me, that looks high enough for a double crochet. Now I do count this as a stitch, so I'm going to double crochet into the next stitch. yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Continue along with your double crochets. Rightio, we've got 2 more double crochets to go. 1 there and 1 in the very last stitch. And we're looking good. We're looking really good. I'm going to snip that off and darn both of these yarn ends in. Choosing your next colour for our rows of treble stitch. Yarn end in your right hand. Wrap your yarn around 2 fingers on the left. Pull up a loop through the centre. Now for the treble. Now we're going to do 2 yarn overs to start our treble. Yarn over twice, finding the place where you want to pop your hook to begin your standing stitch. So hook in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through 2 stitches, yarn over and pull through 2 stitches. Now you can tighten that little movable slip knot. We're going to do a treble stitch all the way along. Now there's one little trick with the treble stitch. They can become quite loose along the top. So if you can keep the work nice and firm, it makes the treble stitch look a whole lot better. So tightening that stitch there, yarn over twice, keeping it nice and firm. Pop your hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2 stitches. Even that one was still a little bit loose for my likings. So tightening again, yarn over twice, pop your hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Can you see how that one was a whole lot better? I'll pop it down on here. Up the top you'll notice how tighter together these 2 are than the first and the second. So that's what we've got to aim for with our treble stitch. Yarn over twice is keeping these stitches nice and firm. Hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Let's go again. Yarn over twice, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over twice, pull through 2, 2 and 2. Yarn over twice, hook in, pull through 2, 2 and 2. Righto, one more treble to do and that's the last stitch of our row. Now here's where things change a bit. Picking up this cheat sheet and you'll see that it tells you your turning chain for the treble needs to be 4 chains. Now I have tried that in the past and have found that the 4 chain is just far too long and you can see how loose it looks and it just isn't right. So if you want to do turning chains, I suggest you still do chain 3 like you do for the double crochet. Let me show you. Let's do chain 4 first, turn our work, and now we're going to do another treble straight into that stitch below. And what you'll find here is this chain 4 turning stitch is far too long. See how it loops out? If I was to put it next to the treble, it is just far too long by 1. All right, let's go back now and make it into a chain 3. And then we'll do a treble next to the chain 3. 1, 2 and 3. And there we go. It's absolutely perfect. So if you want to use chains as your turning stitch, my advice would be to stick with the chain 3 when you're making trebles. Now let's go back and we'll do my stacked single crochets. And with those, I also only use 3 of them, not 4. Okay, so I've finished my last treble, turn my work, pop my hook in and make 1 single crochet, hook through the center, a second single crochet, hook through the center, a third single crochet. Now that looks, for all accounts and purposes, like a treble. So let's make a treble next to it and see how that goes. And there you can see that it looks a-okay. They are approximately the same height. And it just looks like any old normal treble. So I'm going to continue on here with that and do trebles all across my row. And see how we're looking in the end. Still trying our best to keep these nice and firm across the top. Otherwise they get this little loose look happening. So trebles do take a bit of practice. And there we have our 2 rows of trebles. Our sides are looking nice and straight, and the treble stitches on each end are looking just right, with either the chain 3 or 3 stacked single crochets. You can see here I've got 3 little looser spots. Again, that just indicates that I need to practice a little bit more with my treble stitches. That now completes part number 1 of my little mini series called How to Read Crochet Patterns. It was a bonus that while doing this, I was able to show you how to keep your sides nice and straight, how not to lose or gain stitches as well. So I really look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.